The Giants just used the 37th overall pick on a cornerback who, a couple of years ago, wasn't even starting and transferred in each of the last two collegiate seasons. Yet, every single trait that new defensive coordinator Dennard Wilson was screaming that he needs in this defense, 37th overall pick Colton Hood has it. The physicality, the press coverage ability, the match coverage ability, the run defense instincts that make coaches lose their minds. Today we're going to be breaking down why Colton Hood is not just a good fit for the New York Giants defense, he's the perfect fit. And we're going to be looking at the film to prove it. Colton Hood came into college football as a lightly recruited prospect who ended up at Colorado, playing under Deion Sanders. In 2024, Hood started just one of 13 games in that Colorado defense for Deion Sanders, but he still managed to impress in those coverage snaps that he had. He had 24 combined tackles, 1 tackle for loss, and he managed to have 2 interceptions and 6 pass breakups on the year. But still not getting the playing time that he felt he deserved, Hood transferred to Tennessee in 2025. And in his first year as a full-time starter, he absolutely erupted. Hood started all 12 regular season games at Tennessee. In over 451 coverage snaps, he allowed just 1 touchdown catch. His PFF grade of 83.3 was second best in the entire SEC and 18th in the country among cornerbacks with at least 300 coverage snaps. That earned him all SEC recognition from both the Associated Press and coaches, and he was a semifinalist for the Jim Thorpe Award given to the nation's top defensive back. And then you look at his combine numbers, and the athleticism matches what you saw on tape. That 40.5-inch vertical was 5th best among all cornerbacks at the combine, and his relative athletic score of 9.66 out of 10 puts him in elite company physically. Now here's where things get really interesting because Colton Hood doesn't just have good stats, he has 3 very specific traits that make him uniquely valuable in today's NFL and specifically for the New York Giants' new defensive scheme. Trait number 1 is his press ability. Scouting reports on Colton Hood consistently describe his best football happening within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. That is where his press technique, his jam strength, and his diagnostic ability all combine to make him a nightmare for wide receivers. He knows how to read a receiver's body language pre-snap, inside foot, outside foot, leverage, and he sets his hands before the snap to take away the release angle. That's his technique, not just his athleticism. Trait number 2 is his physicality and run defense. This is the thing that really separates him from most cornerback prospects. Hood plays cornerback like an enforcing safety. He has run defense wiring exactly what coaches want. He is fearless coming downhill, he fills gaps at full speed, and he finishes tackles. He had 4.5 tackles for loss as a cornerback in 2025. 4.5 tackles for loss for a cornerback is a pretty solid number that you don't see from cornerbacks too often. Trait number 3 is his match coverage versatility. Modern NFL defenses don't just play pure man or pure zone. They play match coverage, pattern matching, cover 4 principles where your corners start off man but read the route distribution and match up based on what they see. Hood can do that. He's fluid in his transitions, comfortable in both man and zone, and has the football IQ to process routes in real time. That's rare for a player with his level of experience. But to understand why Colton Hood fits so perfectly, you have to understand who Dennard Wilson is and what he demands from his corners. But before we dive further into it, I just want to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of today's episode, which is Prize Picks. If you aren't playing on Prize Picks yet, you're missing out. Prize Picks is America's #1 sports picks app. It's a daily fantasy sports platform, and the app is really easy to use. No complicated lines to worry about. All you do is pick more or less on a few players' stats and lock in your lineup. It's incredibly straightforward, and it's available in most states, including California, Texas, Florida, and of course, the tri-state area. So let's go ahead and take a look at Prize Picks right now. If you go ahead, you log on and you scroll through, you'll find their NFL season picks, and this is where we can have a lot of fun coming out of the 2026 NFL draft. If you take a look here at receiving yards, they've started to load in these wide receivers that were drafted top 10. And I'm sure a lot of you saw what Malik Neighbors had to say about Carnell Tate as a potential WR1 in Tennessee. As much as I love the Titans giving him a weapon, I'm going to pick less on his stats right there because, man, I don't know if he's going to be ready to play that WR1 role as a rookie. We'll see. Maybe he develops into it. But for now, I think that his receiving yardage is going to be a little bit limited. But looking through some more of these picks, one that you guys know I love, if you go over to passing touchdowns, I don't see how Jackson Dart doesn't put up more than 19.5 passing touchdowns this upcoming season. So that's how easy it is. You pick more or less on a couple of stats, submit your lineup, and that's that. And one of the great parts about Prize Picks, guys, you can follow people on the app. You can follow me at Anthony Rivardo and tail all of my picks and lineups. So definitely make sure to check out Prize Picks, sign up using code HMA, and you will get $50 in lineups instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. So Good luck, enjoy the games, and remember to always play responsibly. Wilson came up under the Ravens defensive system, one of the most sophisticated in football. He served as Baltimore's defensive backs coach in 2023, and in that year alone, the Ravens finished third in the NFL in interceptions with 18 picks, fourth in pass defenses, and sixth in passing yards allowed per game. He then became the Titans defensive coordinator, and in 2025, Tennessee's pass defense ranked second in the entire NFL, allowing just 177.9 passing yards per game. Now he's the Giants defensive coordinator, and John Harbaugh, who knows Wilson's work from his Ravens days, brought him in to transform this defense. The philosophy Wilson has preached since day one of every defensive coordinator job he's held is simple: press everything. Press everything. That means he needs cornerbacks who can 1. Get physical at the line of scrimmage without getting called for holding, 2. Match receivers in man coverage across the field, and 3. Help in run defense to take away outside sweeps and screens. Now go back up to those 3 traits we just broke down: pressability, run defense physicality, match coverage. Hood checks every box. I did a full breakdown on Dennard Wilson's defensive scheme recently on the channel. Definitely make sure to go check that out for more in-depth coverage on Dennard Wilson, what his defense is going to look like with the New York Giants, and how all of these new pieces in the Giants defense will fit into the scheme. Wilson's scheme also uses split safety shells. He'll often show 2 high looks pre-snap to protect his corners from getting beaten deep. That gives Colton Hood the freedom to be aggressive at the line of scrimmage, knowing there's a safety behind him. That's a perfect environment for his skill set. But here's the question that everybody's asking: can Colton Hood win a starting job as a rookie? Well, let's look at the Giants cornerback room. Paulson Adebo is locked in as the CB1. He's the top dog. But the CB2 spot, now that's genuinely up for grabs. Adebo himself dealt with injury issues in 2025, and the Giants have Greg Newsome II and Deonte Banks at cornerback, but neither has cemented themselves as a true starter just yet. John Harbaugh and GM Joe Schoen said Hood was their #1 target heading into day 2 of the NFL draft. That tells you everything you need to know about how they view him. He isn't depth, he's a starter. So the path is clear. Hood comes in, competes in training camp, and given how well his traits map to what Dennard Wilson wants, I would be surprised if he isn't lining up opposite Paulson Adebo from week 1. And that's not just hype. That's what happens when a defensive coordinator who demands press coverage corners finally gets a press corner cover built in his image. Now, what are the development questions? The deep ball tracking, the occasional penalty from grabbing a bit too much, those are real concerns that Colton Hood needs to kind of work out of his game. But they're coachable. You can't coach physicality. You can't coach that mentality against the run. You can't coach that speed. You either have these things or you don't. And Colton Hood, he has them. The Giants haven't had a true press cornerback on the outside like this in years. Dennard Wilson's arrival changes that, and Colton Hood is the piece that makes the whole thing click. But I want to know what you think about Colton Hood. Do you think he's going to win the CB2 job from day 1, or do you think he's going to need some time to develop? Drop your thoughts down below in the comments. Now, in the next film breakdown, we're going to be diving into Malachi Fields, going through all of these rookies. If you missed my breakdown on Arvell Reese or Francis Mauigoa, definitely go back on the channel and check those out. But we did the first round, now we've done the second round with Colton Hood, and now we're going to move on to round 3 with Malachi Fields. But after that, that's where I need your guys' input. Who should I break down after Malachi Fields? There's been a lot of chatter in the comment section. It sounds like you guys want me to do a retro throwback review. Pretty good chance that I do that, but if there's any other storylines on this current Giants roster that you want me to break down with film, let me know down below in the comment section. And if you found this breakdown helpful, please do make sure to smash that like button, subscribe for more Giants film breakdowns, and turn on your notifications so you don't miss our full training camp coverage this summer. I'm Anthony Rivardo. This is Fireside Giants. We'll catch you all in the next one.